welcome to this week's episode of Pet Pals. I'm Bethany Davidson, the humane educator here at Frederick County Animal Control and Pet Adoption Center. And starting off with a feline this morning, animal wrangling for us, is our volunteer coordinator, Sean Snyder. So, as we've been mentioning over the last several months, our dog floor is pretty busy. Our cat floor has been a little bit quiet, which is okay. It's a little bit different, not necessarily what we're used to. But one of our newest additions to the cat floor is Funyun. And he is actually, at 4 years old, one of the younger cats that we have right now. The cat floor, for whatever reason, seems to be occupied by a lot of seniors. I love a senior cat. They're super nice and established. You kind of know what you're getting. But a lot of people are looking for something a little bit younger. And right now that comes in the form of Funyun. He came to us as a stray. He's not been here very long, just got here on the 1st of March. So we're still kind of getting to know him a little bit. But so far, he's pretty much just a nice, laid-back guy. He's, your typical cat. He likes to have affection when he wants it. He likes to explore when he wants to. And he likes to kind of just like nap and lounge around. He's just, again, your typical average cat. What I've noticed about him is, he just kind of hangs out in his kennel. He's not that cat that's begging for attention. But once you open the cage door, he's like, oh, somebody wants to see me? Okay, I guess I'll come out and hang out for a little bit and see what's up. And then he's like, oh, pets are good. Oh, wait, what's over there? Can I try to sneak out? So again, just kind of really affirming those things that, average cat. Initially he wasn't a huge fan of being picked up, but what I've found is like he settles into it and is, pretty easygoing about that. I think he's really enjoying the attention that he's getting from Sean, but also trying to figure out how he can go, explore and do some other things. So again, 4 years old is still a relatively young cat, but we've seen like a lot of people, once they get, over the age of 4, they're like, oh, they're a little bit older. I don't know. So, definitely take a look at Funyun if you're looking for something younger, but don't forget about all of our great senior cats. We have tons of them. Some of them have, special needs. Funyun is one of those guys that doesn't really need anything extra, but we have, Michelob, who's been on the show before, who's a tripod cat. We have Helen, who's deaf. We have a couple of cats who need prescription diets. All those cats need some extra TLC and are looking for a place to call their own as well.
So a lot of the things you've talked about are on his behavior assessment. Who does those behavior assessments?
So for all of our viewers who might not know, we have a processing team. They also are our medical team. So they get to assess the animals first. They, do the behavior assessment, give them all of their, vaccinations and treatments. So they get a kind of the first glimpse at their temperament. But we want to make sure that people are aware that those assessments are just a reflection of how the animal was feeling at that moment in time. Like we've already seen some shifts in Funyun's assessment from like my personal interactions with him based on what his assessment was. And that happens all the time, but they can be very helpful since they're done when the animals are first made available for adoption. It can give a new adopter an idea of how that animal will behave at first in their home. And then when they're visiting them after they've been here for a little bit of time, they can see, oh, this is what they'll turn into once they're comfortable. So yes, those guys do a great job. They also name them if they don't already have an existing name. So that's how this guy came up with Funyun, because one of them is on a snack kick. So they'll all be named after snacks for right now. So if you're interested in Funyun, you can go to visit fcac.as.me to book that appointment to meet him. The first dog that we have on the show for you today is one of our senior dogs. This is Honey, and she's about 8 years old. Much like Miss Mira, who's been on the show in the past, she looks a little bit more intimidating than she actually is because she has those cropped ears. But Honey is just, a very sweet, sensitive girl who is definitely not intimidating in any way, shape, or form. It's more likely that she will be intimidated by you than the alternative. She's definitely a dog that is shy at first and takes a little bit of time to warm up. Even if you're looking at her, you can see that she's unsure. Her tail is tucked between her legs, but she still wants attention. She's just always a little bit conflicted. She's not very, confident with new people or in new environments. But give her a little time, and she warms up pretty quickly. She's been reacting favorably to other dogs here, which is a good thing. But we do always require that if you have an existing dog, that you bring them in to do a meet and greet, just so that we can kind of get an idea if that's something that's workable or something where they're just not going to get along, because dogs, just like people, don't always like every other person they encounter or every other dog that they encounter, right? In terms of things that we've done for her, she was recently spayed. We take care of spaying and neutering all of our dogs, cats, and rabbits. So she's going to be good to go on that. She'll be able to go home more quickly if you were to meet her and want to make her part of your family. We found that she is the dog that's going to kind of cozy up to you, want to lean in, really kind of snuggle up to you once she gets to know you. You kind of have to earn that place. But some of our volunteers have said, just within a couple of times of coming in, she's now approaching them when they walk past her kennel with her tail wagging, really excited to see them. So definitely worth that time and patience to kind of get her to be your friend.
So you had mentioned that she is shy, but there's one age group that she's not shy around. Which age group is that?
So Honey previously lived with 4 children, ages 10 to 15. And one day she was in processing, and one of our former staff members, who's also a foster, came in with her son. And as soon as Honey saw the little boy, she just lit up. Where she was very nervous about the humans, when she saw the little boy, she settled right in, wanted to be in his space, wanted to get affection from him. So she is very comfortable with children, especially again in that age group, that 10 to 15 age range, which is what she's used to currently. But we think she would be fine with any group of children, just being mindful again that she is a little bit shyer, but she does seem to be more comfortable with small people. So that's something that's great, because a lot of dogs maybe have been mistreated by children unknowingly, right? And can be a little bit fearful of them, but she's definitely very open to that. So if you have a family and you're looking to add a dog, then Honey might be a good dog for you to come and meet. And the way to do that is to book an appointment. You can do that by going to visit fcac.as.me. Our next dog is another one of our seniors. This is Angel. She's 7 years old, and much like Honey, she came to us because her owners were moving and were just unable to take the dog to the new location. A lot of properties don't allow animals, and unfortunately, some people can't. They have to go where they can afford to move, and so the dogs end up here with us. Fortunately, the owners did give us a lot of kind of information about Angel, so that can help us place her in a home that's going to be the best fit for her. I was super surprised when she came in full of energy, because in her kennel, she can be a little bit shy. And once she got out, she came in, she's all excited to see people, jumping up, wanting attention. She's definitely a very affectionate dog. She wants to lick your face. She wants to be in your lap. She wants to sit next to you. She wants you to pet her and scratch her, and she'll roll over and show you her belly. The previous owners did say that she was also very friendly and energetic and playful. Although up until this point, we've seen mostly just a little bit shy and affectionate side. She does know sit. She knows paw already as well. One of the big things to remember with Angel is that, much like Achilles, who was our longest resident until recently when he finally got adopted, she is allergic to chicken. So she can't have any poultry products. So we feed her a salmon-based diet. We make sure that we're giving her treats that don't have any poultry in them. And that doesn't just include like actual chicken. That's chicken meal, that's chicken byproducts, that's chicken fat as well. So you're just really reading those labels about what's going to be better for her. According to her vet records, she was definitely having some issues for a while, and I think that the chicken was part of that issue. So making sure that you're feeding her appropriately.
So a lot of potential adopters have pets already. How would Angel do with another pet, or what do we think about that?
Sure. So according to the previous owners, Angel did live with another cat, and they didn't note any problems. They did indicate that she did not do well with other dogs. So because they did not indicate that she didn't do well with the cat, I'm assuming that everything was fine with the cat in the household. But definitely, they noted that she wasn't suitable and didn't really enjoy living with another dog. We haven't necessarily seen anything that says like she absolutely is horrible with dogs here. We noted that she tends to be more afraid of them. But behavior in a home is more indicative of behavior in a home. So just because we haven't seen anything in the shelter that necessarily says, oh, she's really, really bad with other dogs, doesn't mean that that's not the case. So we do try to go with what the owner says. So we are recommending that Angel be the only dog in a household, just so that she doesn't get adopted and then brought back to the shelter relatively soon after. But according to them, she did great with the cat. So if you are looking to add a dog to your household and you have an existing cat, then Angel might be a good fit, obviously, with those proper introductions in the household. If you are interested in making Angel part of your family, you're going to want to go to visit fcac.as.me to start that process. And we've got another senior. This is Evan. He is about 6 years old, and he is, as everyone knows, my favorite dog. Unfortunately, Evan was adopted around Christmas time and then returned because he wasn't doing well in the home at night. During the day, everybody said that he was delightful and lovely, but he was definitely showing signs of stress with a lot of activity in the house at night, and that just wasn't going to be suitable for their family. So Evan's been brought back to us so that we can find him a home that's going to be a better fit for him. He is a dog that loves treats and really loves toys. But he is also a dog with a fairly high prey drive, so he's not recommended for households that have any type of small animal. He's also a dog that is better suited to be an only dog. Like, he can walk by other dogs out in the yard, in the park, things like that. But what we've noticed is that sometimes he gets hyper aroused by other dogs. And then other times he definitely shows some signs of anxiety when he's closer to other dogs. Gets a little tense, does a lot of checking in with his handler because he feels uncomfortable. So he's probably best suited to be, just your only pet in the house. He's super smart. He knows sit. He's been working on down. He knows touch. He knows find it. He knows search. He just has a lot of great qualities. He, again, is super playful. He's very affectionate, loves to snuggle. He just has, a couple things that he needs to work on in terms of feeling comfortable with, people coming in and out of the house, and just, how to handle unexpected things going on, just because he's definitely a little bit nervous about noises and things that pop up on him without when he can't see it very well.
So since he was returned, we actually learned some new medical information. What's that information?
That's right. So we knew that Evan had allergies, but because he was really struggling at night, and the previous owner was saying he's totally fine during the day, but at night, that's when, people coming and going, he was doing a lot of barking, growling, things like that. We were like, maybe there's something wrong with his vision since it's only happening at night. So our staff veterinarian did an exam on Evan a couple weeks ago, and she found that he did have some decreased night vision because we tested him in the dark, as well as some decreased peripheral vision. So that's probably why he was being so startled at night, because he couldn't see what was happening. So there's some things that we've been trying to do to work on that. Doing some relaxation practices, obviously making sure that he can see us when we're interacting with him before we get him leashed up, things like that. But also in a home environment, just having more lights on. If you're doing a lot of coming and going at night, keeping some extra lights on in the house so that he can see a little bit better. But because of that, we are also recommending that he go to an adult-only home, because sometimes kids run fast from different directions. And if he can't see them coming in his peripheral, that could be, upsetting to him as well. So we have made a couple of changes there, and it's just something to be aware of if you want to make Evan part of your family. If you want to, visit him, get to know him a little bit better, you're going to want to go to visit fcac.as.me to start that process. Our next dog is definitely a little bit smaller than what we typically have, but she also falls into the senior category. This is Brandy with an I. We call her that because we had multiple Brandys, and we also have a stat person named Brandy. So that's why we call her that. It helps us differentiate her a little bit. And she's about 10 years old. She's a Chihuahua mix. And in typical Chihuahua fashion, she's a little bit nervous, especially around strangers and things at first. And, this is a big thing for her because there's strangers in the room. But also she's a little bit wary of men. So now there's two men in the room. So she's just a little bit more uncomfortable than what you would typically see. She takes a little bit of time to warm up. But what I found is that she's a super fun dog once she gets comfortable with you. She's a little bit older, yes, at 10 years old, but she's super spunky. And she loves to play and she loves to run around and sniff and explore. She has a little bit of big dog energy in her. I don't really like small dogs typically, but I kind of like Brandy. She's kind of a fun dog. Like if you play bow to her, then she's like, oh yes, let's play. And she wants to romp around and she wants to kind of be in your space. She loves affection, but definitely takes her a couple of minutes, usually about 10 minutes really, to kind of warm up. Unless you're a guy. And then she wants to give you the grrr and kind of tell you to go away. She has done well meeting smaller dogs because she used to play with Brandy with a Y, who was one of our poodle mixes. But the bigger dogs do seem to be a little bit intimidating for her. She's not a super huge fan of them. She loves her dog bed. She loves a good treat. She knows how to sit. She just has a ton of really great qualities, but you do need to take some time to kind of let those blossom and so you can really see those. So just a little bit of patience goes a long way with her. For sure. She rode really well in the car. We took her to the radio. She walks pretty nicely on leash. And she has this really cute, goofy smile. So she's going to be a great addition for the right family.
So she has a noticeable medical condition, which a lot of people on social media were talking about. Can you tell us a little bit about that condition?
So she has a condition which is common in cats and dogs called cherry eye. That's kind of the layman's term for it because it looks like there's two cherries popping out of her eyes. And what that is dogs and cats have a third eyelid, and that third eyelid has a gland. And so in Brandy, in all dogs with cherry eye, it's prolapsed, so it pops out a little bit. We've noticed because she's on some medication that sometimes those steroids the inflammation goes down, and the other day it actually went away in one of her eyes. So people are asking, is that something that can be repaired? It's not painful to the dog, but because those glands produce, the tears and things like that, over time it is better to get it repaired so that their eyes don't dry out and they don't have vision problems. But it's not something that we'll be repairing here in the shelter because while it's not like a super hard procedure, it's not something that's great to recover from in this environment. They're going to have sutures in their eyes. They're going to have to wear a cone so they can't scratch their face and things like that. And it's just wearing a cone in the shelter environment is not fun for any dog. So we're not going to be doing that for her because, again, it's not painful and the recovery would be more distressing for her here in this environment. But that's something that anybody who adopts Brandy should definitely talk to their vet about, the treatment options, things like that. Make sure that she's a good candidate for surgery and all of those things. But it's in her best interests to not have that procedure done while she's a resident here in a shelter environment. But if you are interested in taking the time to get to know the real Brandy and see her spunky side, the best way to do that is to go to visit fcac.as.me to meet her. Our last dog today is Maggie, and Maggie has been with us since mid-January, but we've known about Maggie for much longer because we were trying to catch her because she was out running at large, and she is very elusive, very crafty. But we've talked a lot about shy dogs, and some of them surprised us today coming in and being a little bit more energetic, but Maggie really is, very shy and still kind of learning to trust people, learning to, get affection from them and just feeling comfortable. What we have found is that she's actually more at home and comfortable with the companionship of another dog. So for that reason, we are looking to find her a family that has an existing dog. She tries to engage all the dogs when they're out on walks. She wants to get close to them. She wants to play with them. She's actually best friends with our dog Sarabi, who's our large Mastiff mix, and she takes corrections pretty well. Sometimes she gets a little excited and then, hits Sarabi's bum knee, and Sarabi lets her know, hey, that's not cool, and Maggie's pretty good about saying, oh, I'm sorry. So she does really, really well with other dogs. It's just learning to trust humans that she's still working on. She loves a good treat. She takes treats pretty nicely. She enjoys playing with toys, which are things that maybe she hasn't really had the opportunity to do before, but she's really enjoying. And when she gets to know you, she's very affectionate with the kennel staff. One of our kennel techs, Kim, is actually her favorite person. She loves to hang out with Kim. She'll run right up to Kim. So she has that ability to be very affectionate. It just takes a lot more time. So, it's not necessarily a situation like with Achilles or Julie where you'd have to date a lot, but a couple of visits might be helpful if you're interested in making Maggie part of your family, just so that she really feels comfortable and understanding that it's going to take a while to see the real Maggie.
So she has a variety of restrictions on her based on who can adopt her and who can handle her here at the shelter. Why is that?
So because she was running at large for so long, they actually had to trap her. We've noticed that she doesn't really like to be confined, and that she's still a little uncomfortable. So you can kind of watch her looking for escape routes, and she kind of darts around. So when she's outside, we're recommending even to an owner that she be on a leash. Whether that's a standard 6-foot leash, or if you have a backyard and you want to allow her a little bit of time to run around, getting a long line, just so that she can't run off because she is so hard to then catch. And that might dissipate over time, but we want to make sure that we're not putting her at risk. And then just because of that behavior, we have only been having the kennel techs handle her, just because we don't want something to happen with a volunteer. We want to make sure that the people who are handling her, she's super familiar with them. They know her routine, so that she's going to be safe. And again, it does take her a little bit of time to kind of really warm up and acclimate. So we are looking for households with no small children for her, because we don't want her to be startled with loud noises, fast movements, things like that. Also, she's quite the jumper, so we don't want her to knock any kids over once she feels excited. So we're looking at those types of things. But if you think that that's going to be she's going to be a good fit for your house, and you're okay with having a bit of a project dog and seeing her blossom into that wonderful dog that we know that she has the potential to become, then you're going to want to go to visitfcac.as.me to book an appointment to meet her. The dog kennels have been opened again, but you won't see Maggie if you're just walking through, because all of those people still kind of stress her out a little bit walking by. So do ask, the kennel staff or some of our admin staff at the front desk if you're interested in seeing Maggie. We hope you enjoyed meeting all of these adoptable animals today. As is always the case, we have many more that we aren't able to showcase on the show today. So if you haven't seen something that you want to make part of your family, then head to our Facebook page or our website, which is frederickcountymd.gov/FCAC. Hit that adopt tab and you can see photos of all of the adoptable animals here at Frederick County Animal Control.